What's up, guys? It's currently episode 4. Before we get started on anything, somebody had a question about the turbo and exactly how you're supposed to clock the turbo. So I'm actually going to pull this turbo out, bring it over to the workbench, and kind of just go over how exactly it's clocked, whether it be the compressor side, the hot side, or the core itself. I'll get started on removing that, bringing it over to the workbench, and we'll move forward. Okay, so turbo's out of the car. Basically, I just want to show when you have the turbo manifold that the hot side is going to bolt to, there's pretty much no way that you can rotate this because it's going to be bolted in place here. However, the turbo core and the compressor itself has the availability to kind of rotate itself. So all turbos are different, but with this one specifically, we have these bolts here that go all around and they pretty much clamp in place. So right now I have everything pretty much loosened up, and we can be able to turn it. So two things you want to consider. This core, for the oil specifically, you want the oil to feed in through the top and drain through the bottom. The bottom should be facing down. Again, being that this has a flange, there's so much downward that we can actually put this fitting. So you want to get it as close as possible to the flange where you can still get the AN fitting to screw onto here and stay secured. So that's the first thing that you want to consider. And then the second thing would be your compressor housing. You want this outlet here to be facing where it needs to go. So once everything's in place, you would want to tighten all these bolts here, clamp everything down so they don't rotate anymore. When installing this kit, you might have to take it on and off a few times just to get everything where it's supposed to be. Maybe mark the compressor housing or something with a marker, with a Sharpie, and then be able to tighten it down when you have the turbo off the car and actually onto the workbench. So in this case, I'm going to tighten everything up and then put it back on the car now that we see exactly how the turbos are clocked. All right, so the turbo is clocked properly. This is the best I can get it between this brace right here and the plastic fan housing, I guess. We are hitting right here, so I think I'm gonna have to trim this. This is the first that I've had to trim so far. So we're gonna make a little mark here. I'll take this off to the workbench and just trim it. So this side is fitting perfectly fine. It's not hitting the brace anymore. Now on this side, it is hitting slightly, only because if you can see under here, this little plastic piece, like it's already starting to crack. This charge pipe here is pushing down on that plastic piece, and it's actually raising the charge pipe upwards a little bit, which is making it hit this brace here. So I think I'm just gonna take this off and just trim this little plastic piece right here. It doesn't seem structural at all. It just has a tag on there. So I'm gonna pull everything off. I'll pull this pipe off. I'll get into there with the multi-tool. This bracket here just kind of installs right there. I'm gonna have to cut maybe the top of that, trim that off, and also drill a hole to screw into that hole there. And also for the bottom mount, if you take off this splitter that goes on the bottom here, if you look, you're gonna have to drill holes here. I use the 5/16 inch bit to drill the hole just to kind of give some play. And you have those two bolts that go into this bottom bracket, and that would hold the intercooler in place. I'll get started on this bracket that goes here, and that'll be it for the charge piping. So this top bolt is taken care of, but it looks like the bottom hole is just not lining up. It's quite a bit off. So I'm thinking about cutting this excess off right over here, and then just drilling a new hole to go into this hole down here. All right, so everything's fitted up. I drilled a new hole, trimmed a little bit off here. Also on the top, I trimmed some. I think it's the bumper that's gonna go on top of here, so you wouldn't want any overlap. So I had to trim a little bit off, but yeah, came out pretty clean. All right, guys, I'm capping it off here. Check me out on episode 5, the next episode. Thanks for watching.